And on the side you can see right over here this traffic behind me. The metro moving away over here. Yes. There's a mall right over there. Right behind me, there's a mall, a big mall. With a big supermarket in it too. Yeah, the supermarket's over there. You can see it's written there, Dirk. And this is a concert building behind me. They're called Ahoy. Ahoy is what sailors used to say to one another. Actually, still do till this day. They renew this place various times. So you can check it out here. Now, why am I standing here? Because it's raining. I have some data on my phone again, so I was thinking, okay, so it's raining now, and I'm not about to take any public transport, so what else can I do? Yes, I can record another live stream, so that's why I thought let me do that. Again, I'll start at 4 minutes. Okay? At the 4 minute mark, I'll begin. Thanks for the 2 thumbs up already. And when you're here, let me know in the live chat, please. Thank you very much. Soon I'll take off these wireless earphones because the battery's almost done. But I hope I can still make it through this live stream with the battery not ending. So this live stream will not be that long. Again, there's nobody around here. So, again, look at how empty it is inside. Completely empty. Evert, I'm doing well here. Thanks very much. Tammy, I'm glad you're here. Again, concert building. Empty. Well, there is this new, you know what, that emerged. So there's going to be more bullshit coming months, so you know. DVSL, I'm glad you're here. Prosiboli, I'm glad you're here. I hope the sky's going to clear soon. It's a bit annoying with all the. It's a bit annoying now that it keeps on raining. No, I'm happy with the rain. I praised the Lord when I went outside. It was raining. I'm glad with the rain. But for it to rain all the time, no, it's not a good thing. Hey, this Dutch weather, I know. I know in the Netherlands, weather can be unpredictable, but still. I grew up in Rotterdam, for those who were not aware of it. All right, so I'm just walking around here where it's empty. Nobody will bother me. But this public property. Private property doesn't even exist, but, well, for the world's term's sake, it's public property, so. Even if it was private property, I wouldn't even care, because the earth belongs to the Heavenly Father anyway. And by the way, okay, I'm going to save this for after the 4 minute mark. Briasa, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for another thumbs up. All right. Another thumbs up, thank you very much. Whoever gave it. Dawn, I'm glad you're here. Okay, it's the 4 minute mark. Class has begun. The title of this live stream is Your Short-Sightedness Will Get You Killed. What is short-sightedness? Look, my physical eyes are quite sharp. I can see far ahead of me around here. As far as my physical eyes can see, I can see what's in front of me physically. Okay? People that are short-sighted, they have some disease or something with their eyes that they can't see very far. So that's why they need glasses. That's short-sightedness. But short-sightedness, apart from the medical term, and by the way, if you don't know more about the medical term, go to a medical professional because they can explain far better than I do, and much better terms also. But apart from the medical condition called short-sightedness, there's also this figurative expression of being short-sighted. Look, when you are short-sighted, I'm not talking about the medical term. I'm talking about your attitude. When your attitude is short-sighted, that means that you're only focused on what's in front of you. You only focus on what interests you. You only focus on what you want or how you can get it and what bothers you. And being short-sighted doesn't have to always be a selfish thing. Maybe you're not selfish, you're not narcissistic, but you still are not looking beyond. You don't look deep into a situation. You look at the surface of the situation, and that's all that matters to you. For example, you can have a woman appearing to you, claiming that she's being abused by her boyfriend, and that she needs help. And you think, oh, okay, lady, get into the car. I'll drive you to a women's shelter. And then later she tells you, it's okay, I'll get out of here. She gets out, and later the police arrests you for suspicion of prostitution. And the police tells you, well, we saw this prostitute get into your car. And this prostitute, when we arrested her, she had a lot of money. And she said, well, she got the money from you after giving some service to you. Now, none of this is true. None of that happened. She told you she was being abused by a boyfriend, she needs help. And you being emotional about the situation, think, oh my God, a man hitting a woman, my God, this shouldn't happen. You decide to help her out based on your emotional conviction. So based on your emotional conviction, you help her out by driving her to a women's shelter. But right before the women's shelter, she just want to get out, you let her out, and now she's lying on you. But where did you go wrong? Now, this is just an example I made for this to teach you. But in this example, what did this guy do wrong? There was one error he made from the start. What is it? Let me know in the live chat. What was the error this guy made from the start? What was the error that got him involved in that bad situation? Let me know. What was the error he made? There was one big error that if he just would have avoided doing this, he would never have been trapped. I got it. Not asking more questions. Think about it. Let's say, okay, if a woman runs to you and say, I'm being abused by my boyfriend, help me. First of all, where's the boyfriend? If she is running away and you see the boyfriend running after her, you can say, oh, okay, I see the guy's running after you. What's up? But it can also be that the woman is a thief and she just robbed the guy and the guy is running after her to get his money back or to get his wallet back, whatever. It also happens. So just because a woman is running away from a man and a man is running after her in an aggressive way doesn't mean he's about to beat her or that he's an abusive husband or whatever. It can also be that she legitimately robbed him and that can also be an explanation. In any case, she appeared that she was being abused by a boyfriend and she needs help. First of all, how was she dressed? Was she dressed in dirty clothes? Was she dressed, did she have a nosebleed? Did she have blue marks? Did she have any sign physically of being abused? No. Was she dressed fine, in a nice way? So you're dressed in a fine and nice way, but your boyfriend's abusing you and you ask for help? First of all, why didn't you call the police with your mobile phone? 911, or in the Netherlands, 112. Just like that. And it will be finished. And why do you ask a stranger on the street to help you out? So that context by itself is confusing. You get me? But this man was raised by a feminist mother, and his feminist mother always told him to believe whatever a woman tells you. This man was raised by a feminist mother, and his feminist mother told him whatever a woman tells you, believe her. Always doubt what the man says, because men are pigs. Yes, they are feminists raising their sons like that. Teach them that men are pigs and all of that, even though their son is a man, and tell them to believe everything a woman tells you. And a lot of those men, they being raised by a feminist mother, sometimes the father isn't even there because it's a single-parent household, or sometimes it is a two-parent household, but the father is an enabler of the woman's narcissistic bullshit. But anyway, this man, in this example, was raised by a feminist mother, and again, he was raised with emotional conviction, always believe a woman. So this man, as loyal to his upbringing, he believed the woman. And this was used against him. He was short-sighted. And look, it could have been worse. What if this woman was running away from her pimp who is a drug dealer also. And let's say now the woman lies and says, oh, that man, that car, he stole the dope from me. And then the drug dealer is coming after you with a gun asking for the dope. If you can't give the dope, he shoots you. That could have also happened. You get me? So this man being raised to always believe whenever a woman tells you she's victimized, this emotional conviction got him in trouble. Now look, in this example it's quite obvious. But in our case, it's not that obvious. For example, let's say that let's say you have an elderly man in a nursing home, and the elderly man is crying, complaining, my children never come to visit me. My grandchildren's turning away. My children turned my grandchildren against me. And he is crying and all of that. And you as a nurse, you feel pity on the old man, thinking, oh my God, you did so much for your children, and now your children treat you like this, and the grandchildren come and visit you. Now, the nurse, a female, has empathy. Okay, she has empathy. That's a good thing that you have empathy. But here's the thing. That man in that nursing home, he doesn't tell you the full truth. When he was younger, he was quite narcissistic and quite abusive, also towards his own children. So his children grew up traumatized, and the children, even once his children had an overdose as a drug addict and he died. So from his 5 children, 4 are still alive, and all the other 4 realized we don't mean dad abused us, we're all suffering wounds because of it. As adults, we need to, this man doesn't want to repent, away with him. The 4 other children who survived, they had their own families, and they make sure that their abusive father won't come to their own children. And the grandchildren know very well how abusive grandpa is, because their own parents showed them proof about it. And here's the thing, this man never even showed interest in his grandchildren to begin with. But now that he sees that his narcissistic ways are backfiring and he's all by himself, nobody bothers him anymore, now that he is haunted by all the shit he's been doing to other people, now he wants to play the victim to bail himself out from the consequences. So, if you're that nurse and you only listen to his story, and based on your principles, based on how you were raised by your parents, you have empathy for the older men, if that's the only thing you do, not checking who and what is this old man that's talking to me, then you're short-sighted and you'll take his side, and before you know it, you're involved in a conflict they shouldn't even be involved in. You get me? Being short-sighted when it comes to your attitude is quite dangerous. And sometimes, not sometimes, it happens quite often believers are also short-sighted. What I mean with that? Quite often we don't ask the proper questions. We don't. And because we don't ask the proper questions, we end up tricked into conflicts we shouldn't even be involved in. There are believers who identify as conservatives or right wing. And then there are believers who realize that the right wing has a lot of defects, so they join the left side. We shouldn't even be involved in politics, because politics is not from the Heavenly Father. Politics, as explained before in another live stream, politics is a diversion of the resentment of the crowd towards the symbolic assassins who have to give relief to the crowd. This is all politics is. So politics is nothing holy nor wholesome about politics. Now, we should be involved in governing the community as believers, but we should be involved in politics. If you don't know the difference between politics and governing, then you have some homework to do. I have some live streams in which I've addressed this, so you can watch those. Now, apart from that, too often, based on how we were raised by our parents, we are tricked. For example, let's say you have a friend of yours, Mark, and Mark has a new wife, okay? And the 11-year-old son of Mark from his previous marriage, let me say this, he's not on good terms with his new stepmother. And new stepmother is complaining, saying, this little brat, your Mark's son, isn't showing me proper respect. He just ignores me. or he talks very loud towards me, and I'm uncomfortable with him being around. And now, based on how you were raised, your raised children have to be respectful and polite and pleasant towards adults. You take the side of Mark's second wife. What you don't know is that this 11-year-old son can clearly see that this woman is bad news. Now, you as grown-ups, because of how you were raised, you don't notice that this new wife of Mark is bad news. The 11-year-old can clearly see it, and the 11-year-old is keeping himself at a distance from her. And because this new wife of Mark cannot manipulate nor blackmail that 11-year-old, she now feels humiliated. And now that she feels humiliated, she wants to take it out on the 11-year-old. Now she develops anger and resentment and enmity towards the 11-year-old. And Mark, who's not in his right mind, tells his son to behave better, this and that. And Mark is saying, Dad, I'm just 11 years old, but I can clearly see this woman is not good news. I don't mind you moving on after divorcing mom, but this woman is not good. Now, Mark grows up. At 18 years old, he leaves his father's house. He goes to college, and when he's about to finish college, his father calls and says, Mark, 10 years ago, when I met Sarah, you told me as an 11-year-old that she was bad news. I considered you rude. I considered it that you didn't have any manners. But now I realize, even as a child, you were telling the truth, man. And then then the son asks, Dad, what's going on? And then he tells, well, Sarah cheated on me with another guy, and she even filed a police report against me that I've been raping and molesting her. And she and the other guy now have a court case against me. And I've been fired from my job also because they don't want the reputation of the company to be smeared by this. And then the son of Mark says, Dad, I was just 11 years old. I didn't care about being respectful and polite. I saw clearly this one was bad news. Now in this case, Mark, because he was short-sighted, he just divorced his first wife and he longed for a female company. Based on his short-sightedness, he fell for any female company and he ended up with a sociopath that was taking advantage of him. Now, the 11-year-old son of the previous marriage could clearly see something was off, but Mark couldn't see it. The other adults around noticed it, but hey, because of regard for Mark, they kept their mouth shut. They didn't say anything, so not upset Mark. But meanwhile, they all turned on Mark's son. So they are still guilty because, including Mark is guilty because they turned on Mark's 11-year-old son and began to charge him psychically for not getting along with the bad situation. And this often happens, that teenagers are sucked into the bad situation of their parents. And if the teenagers open their mouths, they're the ones under attack. This needs to stop. As grown folks, we need to learn to make proper and wise decisions for ourselves, knowing full well that our lives also affect other people in the community, especially our children, those close to us. Yes, maybe your childhood was difficult, but hey, you're an adult now. You can go into therapy and you can become better. There's no excuse to remain defective as an adult while there's help available to you. Did any of you go through this in your life? Maybe not with your parents. Did you ever were you ever in a situation where you could clearly see that someone is off, but the people around you didn't want to see it, and when you just mentioned it, they turned on you? Have any of you been through something like that? Let me know in the live chat. So, when you notice obviously something is off and you highlight it, people should pay attention to you because you're not opening your mouth to get attention. And by the way, when you notice something is off, you need attention so that people can listen to you about what you've noticed. Hey, but here's the thing. You were not the only one that noticed it. Others noticed it also, but they kept their mouth shut just because they didn't want to be bothered. Maybe it was your stepfather that everyone could see this man is out of his mind, this man is out of line. But they just kept their mouth shut. And before you knew it, your stepfather molested you when you were a teenager. Maybe that's the case. I hope not, but maybe that happened. And now the people are blaming you for what happened to you, saying you just had to be respectful to the man, all of that. No, the community should have intervened and stopped the man. Well, such things often happen in society. People don't want to be bothered, they don't want to be responsible, just want to be left alone, so they will enable bad stuff around them. That's why I told you in a previous live stream, when you notice an inconsistency, don't run your mouth about it. When you notice inconsistency, look around you and hint that something is off. If people don't want to capture your hints, then just leave those people alone. They're perpetrators and enablers. Leave them. As simple as that. Look, I also explained in another live stream that I made a while ago, you can't afford to be truthful to everyone. Some people don't deserve you to be truthful towards them. Am I saying now you have to take advantage of people by lying to them and abusing them? No. Just some people you can't afford to be truthful towards them because they will use the truth against you. You get me? So some people just have to placate them and tell them what they want to hear, or you need to use excuses, just get out of their presence. Simple as that. So, as believers, the last thing should be is short-sighted. When you are short-sighted, I'm talking about your attitude, I'm talking about the medical condition. If you're short-sighted and it's medical, go to the hospital or whatever. If your attitude is short-sighted, man, anyone can trick you. Anyone can use you. Look, sometimes we develop aversion towards someone, saying, I don't like this guy, I don't like this woman, I can't stand this individual. We develop aversion towards someone based on what we hear, based on what we see happening. Maybe a child, maybe a grown man talks a bit rough towards his mother. And you think, whoa, why treat your mother like that? I can't stand this man. Hold on, that mother acts like a parasite instead of as a grown, honorable woman. So of course the grown son is fed up with her, but you know what? This grown son also has children, and on behalf of his children, he behaves himself, but of course you will notice he's fed up with his narcissistic mother. But you don't look at the whole situation. You just see, oh, he acts with rough towards his mom. No, you can't do that. I don't like you. So now you have aversion with someone. That aversion keeps you trapped in negativity. And before you know it, you have demons stuck to you. Before you know it, you attract bad people towards you. And you end up in a loop of escaping all the time. Why? Because of your convictions. Now listen, if your convictions don't add up, they don't add up. You need to let go of those convictions. And that's why so many believers are, I would say, they're swept away by deception. They're tossed around from church to church, false teacher to false teacher. They go from tragedy to tragedy. There are believers go from tragedy to tragedy, hurts to hurts, abuse to abuse. Why is it there are believers, I'm not talking about worldliness now, why is it there are believers being tossed around from tragedy to tragedy like that? Because we don't examine everything as we're commanded to. And this is what I'm teaching you here. That's why the Heavenly Father wanted me to make this live stream. Because I didn't intend to make a live stream right now. Okay, especially not now it's raining. But the Heavenly Father told me to make a live stream. That's why I'm making it about this topic. You need to learn to examine things. Now, I'm not saying that you should always be on the fence and never take a stance. Yes, when you have to take a stance, you take a stance. But only take a stance after examining something completely. Now, even if you don't have all the information, check the context. The context will hint to you what's going on. You don't have to have all the information, just check the context. Too often we're so driven and so swept away by the content that we don't even check the context. Look, that is why evil spirits have no grip on me. That's why evil spirits cannot use me. I'm a human being, okay? I'm a man, okay? I'm born again. It's by the blood of Christ I'm redeemed, okay? Just like any other believer. But why is it that I cannot be used by dark forces and some believers are used by demons? Just because those believers have faulty ways of thinking and they don't examine things. Listen, even if you throw away all worldly attitudes, you still need to have a practical attitude in life. And a lot of believers don't have that. That's why a lot of believers are trapped in tragedy over and over again, because demons are using people around them to drag them into misery. The reason that doesn't happen to me is because the moment someone talks to me or the moment someone approaches me, I already check what my inner radar is hinting towards me. Your energetic emissions tell everything about whether you're safe or not. If someone approaches me and they're not evil, they're not a bad individual, but I can feel there's some demonic force behind them, I already know to keep this individual at a distance and to do it in a polite and peaceful way. You get me? How many believers do that? Well, a lot of us don't. And that's why demons send people in our lives that end up messing us up over and over again, hindering us. And the weird thing is, there are unbelievers. It shouldn't be this way, but there are unbelievers who are more realistic than many believers. Go back to the example I gave to you of that woman who was screaming, asking for help because her boyfriend was beating her. An unbeliever would check the situation, think, okay, lady, why are you screaming on the street that your boyfriend is abusing you? Why aren't you calling pick up your phone? And I don't see any bruises on you. What do you think is going to achieve screaming on the street? People are going to think you're crazy and call the cops on you if you scream on the streets like that. And why are you coming towards me? Unbelievers, because they have no security and because they have no certainty about second chances, unbelievers, those without Christ, they understand. If things go wrong, things go wrong. And I cannot control things getting better. So unbelievers know they have to be careful because they have no security. So unbelievers are provoked to ask questions. Now, some unbelievers just jump into a situation which is not wise to do. Okay? But unbelievers in general, they ask questions. Or they have some type of reluctance. And this reluctance is a defense mechanism against getting in trouble. And it works for them. Now, I'm not saying that we should have this emotional reluctance, because that's a coping mechanism. We don't need a coping mechanism as believers, because we have the Holy Spirit. Nevertheless, we should be smart. We should be wise. Okay? Some people don't want to be saved. Some people just want to escape. Again, I'm telling you, some people don't want to be saved. They just want to escape. Some people just want to escape. They don't want to be saved. They don't want to be rescued. They don't want to be secured. They just want to escape. And they want people to enable their escape. That's how a lot of people are. So, knowing this, that there are people like that, means you have to examine who it is you have in front of you. That's the first thing you do. That's the first thing you do. Check, what is it I have in front of me? You know it's a human being. You know which gender the individual is. Well, actually, most of the time you can see that. Okay? But what do you have in front of you? Are you dealing with a human being that wants solutions, that wants to be better off, or are you dealing with someone who just wants to escape? What is it? And worldlings are more pushed to do this than many believers. Because many believers, they falsely, so I had to do that just to clean my screen from the rainwater. Many believers falsely think that they are capable of saving people. No, you're not. No, you are capable of rescuing people from a bad situation. If there's a bad situation, you can rescue an individual. You get me? You can do that. You can rescue someone from a bad situation. Absolutely. If someone is stuck in their car and they can't breathe, you can break the windows of the car to just get the individual out. The individual could be having a heart attack in their own car. You can now, there's a YouTube video about this white guy in his car on the road, and you have black women trying to break the car. If you would sit and think, whoa, are they trying to assault the man? What's going on? No, the man has problems breathing and they're breaking the car just to get in to rescue the man. So you can rescue someone from a bad situation. That's good. That's a good thing to do. If you're in public, someone falls down to the ground, you can call the ambulance. Rescuing someone is a good thing. But saving someone, that's not something you can do because you couldn't even save yourself. You get me? For someone to be saved, they have to want to be saved. Okay? You can be rescued by other people, absolutely. And people should consider rescuing you also. I agree with that. But when it comes to being saved, saved means you are out of a bad context. Okay, that's what being saved is about. So, but here's the thing, because you are a social creature, and because you have an ability to choose, namely your human will, you have to participate in being saved. What do I mean? Salvation comes from Christ, we know that. There's not something we work for or we earn. What we receive it, you must do the receiving. Receiving salvation implies letting go, doing things on your own. It means letting go, trying to save yourself, because you can't save yourself. To be saved means that there's something you can't do yourself. Because if you could have done it yourself, it wouldn't be salvation. Being saved means you're in a situation you can't help yourself, and you receive the help to be better off. All right? Now, someone has to want to be saved. You can't save someone who's not willing to receive, to recognize this. If someone is even willing to recognize they're in danger, then they will not receive salvation because they think, oh, there's nothing wrong. If someone remains in denial about the situation, even though you are correct, they need to be correct too. As simple as that. And here's the thing, if someone is not realistic to look for better, that means you'll end up having to rescue them over and over and over and over again. That will exhaust you. So it's always important to figure out what it is you're dealing with. Not just who, but also what you're dealing with. And that's what a lot of people don't do. I'm talking about worldlings now, but there are also believers like this. What are you dealing with? I'm in the mall at the moment, just walking there, as you can see. So, I'm not saying we have to develop this, right? This narcissistic, leave me alone attitude, it's not my problem. We should look after people in our environment, absolutely. But those same people should also be willing to look after themselves and look after you. You get me? All right. Wait, I'm going inside where it's dry, no rain. I can wipe some of the rain drops on my phone screen. Just wait a minute. Hold on. Much better. Hold on. Okay. This is better. No, you need to put a face mask on. I'm going to do that crap over there. So, just like Les Brown said in the live chat, question the spirit and situation indeed. Amen. Well. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for being here in the live stream. I'm about to get the metro now, so I won't be able to stream live in there. Well, I can, but I'm not going to attract a lot of unnecessary attention, especially not from unbelievers in this time. I don't want them to consider me a potential scapegoat or whatever. Hold on. So, hold on. If you have any questions, ask them now, I'll answer them. If you have to go, you can go. The class is ended. Just ask your questions now. If you have any about this topic, if not, if I don't get any questions within a minute, I'll just close on the live stream. Anyway, thanks for being here. And by the way, just because someone doesn't want to be saved doesn't mean we shouldn't keep them in check. If someone is an alcoholic and they refuse to look for help, doesn't mean we just allow them to go around, drink how much they want, and drunk drive. No. Even though that man doesn't want to be saved and he's reprobate, we still need to look after him to make sure it doesn't cause too much harm to the community. So even if someone doesn't want to be saved, we still have to keep them in check. Okay? You can keep someone in check, but keeping them in check doesn't mean you've saved them. Okay? Okay, so if someone is not willing to be saved because they're reprobate, then there's nothing you can do about that. It's just the way they are. They're reprobate. But still keep them in check as a group. Or if necessary, ban them from the community. Simple as that. And here's the thing. Some people will fake as if they want to be saved. They will fake a desire for salvation just to be able to drain you. That also happens. Rarely will reprobate say, I don't want to be saved. I don't want solutions. They will rarely say that. Because that will sound very crazy. And if they would say openly they don't want solutions, they don't want salvation, then they would expose themselves. By exposing themselves, they're sabotaged. No. Most of the time, they will fake having it all together, like they don't need any help, or they will fake wanting to be saved just to drain believers. All right. Well, okay. That's it for now. Thank you all for being in the live stream. Keep on coming with Christ. Be at peace, and I'll see you next time.